Hello, and welcome to the Packaging Europe podcast. I'm Emma Liggins, journalist at Packaging Europe. Before we get stuck into today's topic, I'd like to remind our listeners that the Sustainable Packaging Summit will take place in Amsterdam on the 12th and 13th of November, and we have a special treat lined up for our faithful listeners. If you head over to www.packagingsummit.earth and use our code PEPOD10, that's PEPOD10, you'll receive a 10% discount on your tickets. If you're coming to the summit later this year, or if you're still thinking about it and want a taste of what it can offer, look no further than this episode where we'll be shining the spotlight on a speaker we're very lucky to have. Vikas Chhajer is Chief Sustainability and Strategy Officer at Gemini Corporation, a Belgian-Indian company focused on the global sourcing, sorting and recycling of scrap materials in pursuit of circularity. Since 1989, it has reused or recycled wasted materials like plastics, paper, metal and rubber from over 1,000 locations in around 60 countries worldwide. It's one of the world's biggest recyclers by volume, and it currently breathes new life into 2 million tonnes of materials every year. So, welcome Vikas, and thank you for being here with us today. Let's get stuck in. For any of our listeners who might be hearing about Gemini Corporation for the first time, how did the company get started?
Vilma, thanks for having me here in the podcast. Let's start with Gemini first. So we are a 35-year-old company from Belgium. It was started by Mr. Surendra Pataudi, who is a native Indian, but he is a Belgian citizen. And 35 years ago, when he started in 1989, back then, the business of recycling was mostly a fancy business, you can say that. Very few people used to do it. There was no classification of material, no legal frameworks. And we used to collect majorly production waste, and we used to just supply it to places where it was needed. But along the way, we realized that waste is actually not just waste, it's a resource. And we started buying back the recycled material that was getting made and actually ship them back where it is needed. So we kind of created a concept of circularity in our own system. Though circularity is more of a 21st century invention, the word itself, but I think the circularity part, we were doing it since the 1990s in Belgium. Since then, now we are dealing in around 60 countries. We are collecting, we are baling, we are shredding, we are recycling, we are converting 2 million tons of material, including plastics, paper, metal, rubber, used cooking oil, mostly non-hazardous material. With our operations spread across so many countries, I think we collect scrap from around 1,000 locations monthly worldwide. And our business model mostly work on the concept of the whole end-to-end circular economy supply chain, where we collect waste from the producers and the waste generators. We reprocess it at our own or partner centers, and we supply the reprocess output to the finished product or the finished products to the producers or the converters at the end, which reaches to the manufacturers or brand owners. And parallelly, we also fulfill their extended producer responsibility needs, like in the case of plastics or rubber tires as well. Now, every person on this planet will be very happy if he's informed that what happens to their waste. So that's where we are also very strong. The traceability part is very, very important for us. And we actually give a lot of credit to the European Commission for that, because they came up with the waste management laws, which we were a part of. We were kind of a guinea pig with them. And that's where the traceability and compliance part also came in. I think we are very happy to say that we are one of the most compliant and traceable companies in the world in this domain. Thank you.
So lots of Gemini's work takes place in Mumbai. Could you give us an overview of the recycling landscape in India right now? What government initiatives are in place and how successful are they?
Mumbai and India is very interesting, I would say. So I think we have been in India more as I would say more as a manpower center. So we use a lot of manpower from India. We have a shared service center for more than 20 years now, around 200 people who support all our global businesses and transactions. We get logistics support, documentation, export documentation, trade finance, accounting, IT support, pre-sales, purchase research support. So most of the support work come from India. That's how we have been seeing India as a country for us. But for the last 5 years, we have been working locally also in India. I would say that's our first developing country where we are working locally to create infrastructure for collection. Now, India, as we know, is the most populous country in the world, 1.4 billion people. So it's already complex. And I think they are one of the top plastic polluters also now globally. But they claim that they have, for example, plastics, they claim they are recycling around 60% of it. Now, there is no data to support it. That's the challenge, because even if it is 60% or 40%, most of it actually happens in slums. So it's all informal. It's all unorganized. There is no traceability. Nobody knows where the waste goes, what happens at the end of it. Most of it definitely gets downcycled to lower quality recycled material, which is again used for non-standardized products locally, which is a much bigger challenge. So the challenge that comes is mostly the quality that is there and the non-standardization of the final product that is made out of it. Additionally, there is no traceability, so you don't know how much of material actually went in and how much was recycled. So the circular economy part gets distorted at that time. The tax part is also completely missing because it's completely informal economy, so nobody pays the 18% taxes that is there. Most of I would say, industry does not pay the 18% taxes. So these are the problems. But I think the government is actively working on these problems. They are getting more and more stronger on the traceability part and the taxation part. And they also have come up with newer regulations like the plastic waste management rules, which has come up with the extended producer responsibility regime for plastic packaging. They're also come up with the rubber tires, EPR, and I think for a couple of more materials. So I think the whole uh, reformation stage has started in the past 10 years, where these new rules have come in, though these rules are still taking time to get implemented on the ground at a very, very good level. Challenges are always there because they are also learning, they are changing. I think these laws have been changed many times in the past 7 or 8 years. I think the direction is pretty good. So they have very ambitious targets. I think India has one of the most ambitious targets in terms of climate and environment policies. The whole support that the government is giving to the micro and small and medium-sized enterprises, I think the whole switch to the environment-friendly alternatives to plastics is also gaining a lot of momentum in India.
Leading on from that, what is Gemini doing to help improve recycling rates?
The global recycling rate, let's say about plastic, it's less than 10%. And globally, I think we produce around 400 million tons of plastic waste. Less than 40 million tons of it gets recycled. Now, the challenge with recycling is not per se recycling capacity or recycling machinery. The bigger challenge is actually collection and sorting. So 2 billion people globally in the developing world do not even have access to basic waste management systems. Now, if we say 40 million tons is getting recycled, I would say if additional 40 million ton is also collected and sorted properly into various plastics, everything will get recycled. So the initial problem is not recycling capacity. Yes, once we achieve a certain recycling rate, after that the recycling capacity might become a problem. So the first problem actually is collection and sorting of the waste. That is the biggest problem, which happens, let's say, mostly in Europe. There is a good collection and recycling system in most parts of the developed world as well. But then they send all those sorted, connected waste either again to the landfill where it gets mixed, or it goes to developing countries where it mostly gets dumped. That is the bigger challenge. Now, what is Gemini doing in it? 5 years ago, we started working in India. We are working with the informal sector, and we are creating collection centers. We are giving them infrastructure like baling machine, which presses the collected waste and increases the logistical productivity and reduces the cost. For example, if a baler or a collector was able to collect 1 ton of plastic waste in a month, if you give them a baling machine, he or she is actually able to collect more than 50 tons using the same space because of the multiplier effect of the baled capacity of the plastic waste. So that's I would say, the productivity part of it. Additionally, we also provide them working capital. We also ensure that they pay the taxes, which a part of it has to be paid by us, which makes us non-competitive in the market. But this is an investment that we are doing in the future to create collection capacity, because to increase the recycling rate, we have to first create or solve the problem of collection in developing countries who are mostly dependent on good quality feedstock from imports from other countries, like from the US or from Europe or Australia. That's where in India or in any other country, Gemini is trying to create more and more collection network to have good quality feedstock for recycling for the future.
Let's get into the technicals. Walk us through Gemini's recycling process. How exactly does Gemini take packaging waste, for example, and turn it into a new product?
We collect waste through two primary sources. One is our baling machine aggregation. So when we give these baling machines to the waste collectors and aggregators, we create a contract with them for the 3 years that for every month you will supply us a minimum quantity, let's say 30 tons or 40 tons of material. You have to ensure that you are ensuring all the compliances, especially the social ones like the minimum wages, social security, child labor. We provide them clean drinking water. We provide them educational facilities. That's the formalization part of the things. We buy at market rates from them, mostly focused on non-PET bottles, because PET bottles are a very fast-running item in India, and we focus a lot on polyethylene or polypropylene, which are much more difficult to sort and recycle or costlier to sort and recycle. And once this whole process starts with one of our collectors, we ensure that it goes for at least 3 years. And if they're able to supply for 3 years consistently and the volumes increase a lot, we actually give them the infrastructure of the baling machine completely to them as an ownership. So this is our model to increase the collection. Now, these collected material come to either our own plants. We have 4 recycling plants in India, and we plan to have more plants in India. Otherwise, if it is far from our plants, we actually work with our partners. We have close to 100 partners across India where we supply these materials to get it recycled. And we either buy back the recycled material or we ensure the 100% traceability that it has been recycled. So that's how plastic recycling work for us in India. The other materials like metal or rubber tires or glass, we work a lot with partners across the world. We have more than 5,000 such partners around the world for all kinds of materials that we deal in. But we have traceability of each and every ton that we are collecting, that we are getting recycled either in our own facilities or in our partner facilities.
Thank you. I'd prepared another question about how Gemini helps waste pickers improve their livelihoods. I think you've touched on that quite a lot already, but could you tell us a bit more about these efforts and their outcomes?
Yes, so I think we have close to 15 million waste pickers. Rack pickers is not that great word that we use. We actually use the word called reclaimers to give them more dignity, because in developing world, these reclaimers are the ones who actually collect most of the waste that is there. So when you go to any developing country, let's say in India, you'll always find a chips packet or a tobacco packet lying around on the side of the road. But you will never find a PET bottle lying on the road. You will never find a clean polyethylene bag lying on the road, because these reclaimers or the waste pickers, as they call it, they pick it up. Anything that has value, they pick it up. Now, this chips packet or the tobacco packet or any other multi-layered or mixed plastics which does not have recyclable value is not picked up. So they are also business people. They are very, very small micro business people, but they need to be respected because they are the ones who are actually collecting most of the waste that is there on the ground or in the landfills as well. So Gemini places a very, very strong emphasis on helping these waste pickers and creating a more formal institutionalized structure for them. And I think through the 50 baling machines, I think more than 60 now in India that we have created those centers. We have a network of close to 1,000 such reclaimers across India. We intend to give close to 400 such baling and shredding machines across India, create such centers, and uplift more than 10,000 reclaimers across India. We ensure their social security. We ensure that the children are not involved in this labor. We try to give scholarship for their children. We ensure that they actually get a part of the extra pie or the plastic credit or the EPR fees that is earned across the supply chain is given to the waste picker. So that whole formalization part is something that is a focus for Gemini right now. And our target is to have 10,000 such reclaimers in our network in the next 4 years.
Thank you. I love that term, reclaimers. That's a big problem we have here in Europe, that waste generally goes out of sight, out of mind, is exported to countries outside of the EU, and we don't think about where it goes or who handles it. So I love that you've clarified that. Thank you. So Gemini Corporation has partnered with Wild Plastic, which manufactures waste bags from plastics recovered from the environment. Wild Plastic has spoken about Gemini's collection and sorting processes being carried out by hand, resulting in more expensive products. Is this a strictly manual process, or is machinery being used as well? If so, how is it?
The collection and sorting process that is being carried out by hand is not the real reason for the products being expensive. The product is expensive because there is an external cost that somebody needs to pay for the entire collection and sorting and using the recycled material part as well. There is a big financing gap in circular economy, that especially for plastics. I would like to give a small background, if it is okay, before coming to the wild plastic part of it. So plastic comes from petrochemicals. Whereas other materials like steel or aluminum or paper, they have their own industry which uses it back. So if paper becomes waste, the paper industry can take back that waste paper. If steel becomes waste, the steel industry can take back steel scrap or stainless steel scrap. Aluminium scrap can be taken by the aluminium companies. But it is not the same for plastics. Petrochemical companies do not take back plastic for recycling. It is the plastic recycler, which are a separate entity altogether, who are using those plastic for recycling. So it's not self-financed, especially in case of plastic. That's the same for rubber also, though rubber has not become a big issue yet. Now, the self-financing happens in other industry. Somebody has to finance the plastic part of it. That's why the extended producer responsibility system, which is comparatively very strong in Western and Northern Europe, has very high prices. So the EPR prices in Europe, Western Europe and Northern Europe are close to 120 to 150 euros a ton. Whereas when you see the same prices in the EPR system in India, it's less than $10 a ton. Somebody has to pay that gap of collection and sorting and recycling. That's where companies like White Plastics come in. So White Plastic is actually ensuring that the financing gap of collection sorting is paid by someone. And also because the recycled plastic cannot compete directly with virgin plastics, at least in the current technologies, that gap also needs to be paid by someone. That's where companies like White Plastic play a big role. Now, coming to sorting by hand, it's in the current scenario, I would say that's actually very cheap because India has very cheap labor. But doing sorting by hand as compared to automated sorting plants, which are now comparatively common in Western and Northern Europe. But in India, the local labor is still comparatively cheap to sort by hand. By hand also, there's an additional advantage. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but they can, when they feel the material by hand, they actually sort it comparatively better. We are not promoting hand sorting. I'm sure it will actually convert to automated sorting in future in India as well and other developing countries. But currently the costs does not allow it to happen. And that's how it is happening most of the places in India as well. I hope I was able to answer that question.
Absolutely, you did. Thank you. While plastic is spoken about, and you've hinted at this already, international partnerships being the key to overcoming the waste crisis. Gemini is connected to the World Economic Forum, for example. So could you talk a bit more about the partnerships that Gemini has formed and what's come of them?
Yes, so the global partnerships play a very big role. And we have learned that in the past at least 5 to 7 years. So these World Economic Forum and other platforms, they are huge platforms that support companies growing interest in taking concrete step to move towards circularity. So there are a lot of companies which are coming in these platforms and alliances where they are sharing their problems about how they can achieve circularity in their systems and how they can end the problem of plastic waste, which is getting generated through their products and services that they are providing globally. So our chairman, Mr. Surendra Patavari, is on the board of one of the advisory groups for World Economic Forum. He's also on the board of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and he's also a part of the Global Plastic Action Partnership. Our CEO, Mr. Kunal Patavari, he also was invited by His Majesty King Charles III to chair the Circularity Task Force, which is a CEO-led task force with other CEOs like the CEO of Holcim Group, CEO of LGT Bank, Prince Max, CEO of Dubai Airport, CEO of First Abu Dhabi Bank. So they are creating a consortium for a circularity task force to replicate what we have been doing for the last 35 years and to replicate it at a bigger level in future, how we can multiply the effect of it. We call ourselves more as a circular economy investment platform because we have been working with these 10,000 collectors, balers, shredders, recyclers, converters around the world. And we are, in a way, directly or indirectly investing in their operations, whether we are providing their machinery, whether we are providing their working capital, whether we are getting work done through job work. So that's the investment part that we have been doing in the past 35 years. Now we are going one notch up as a part two of the circular economy investment platform. We will try to create a fund, maybe $100 million fund, which can multiply to $1 billion and maybe a future $100 billion fund for circularity for the entire world. So that's how these global partnerships work. Apart from that, there is a big part of advocacy. I'm a part of various working groups with the Business Coalition for the Global Plastic Treaty. I also attend all the negotiations for the UN Global Plastic Treaty, which was ratified a couple of years ago. So 183 countries, they are working together to actually finalize a treaty which will be applicable across the world. I have been an observer in all these treaty negotiations. I've shared my thoughts as well. We have give our recommendation, policy recommendation, especially from the downstream side of things, because there is not much representation from the downstream economy. Downstream means the recycling side of things. It's mostly represented by the upstream part, which is the petrochemicals, the converters, the brands, from where the plastics comes in the market. But the downstream part is still very, very fragmented. There are not many big companies across the world who are representing our voice for policy recommendation in a global plastic treaty. So these global actions are more long-term actions that we are taking with partnerships across these alliances and organizations. But I hope it has a very big impact in future to have a much higher circularity and recycling rate for plastics and other materials.
Thank you. And on that note, has Gemini faced any challenges in its work?
Challenges are a part of business. I would say if the challenges are not there, the business is not growing. So I'm sure because of the challenges, this is a very growing business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business now globally, circular economy. The challenges that we face are different in different parts of the world. Like in developing countries like India, the bigger challenge is it's completely informal. And we are a European company, so we have to keep it 100% formal, 100% compliant, 100% traceable. That adds to costs. There's a big chunk of taxes which we have to pay to ensure that the product comes in, and we are non-competitive in the local market. That's where the examples of white plastic is also good, because somebody has to pay that extra tax to make the economy formal. Additionally, we also ensure 100% social compliances, 100% traceability, which is an additional cost, which becomes again a challenge to be competitive in the local economy. But on a long term, these challenges become actually, if we face these challenges, these solutions become a big, big boom for us as a company. That's what we are looking for in the future. Globally, when we talk about developed countries, there are different challenges. As you also pointed out, there is a lot of export of waste that is happening. Though Europe has been becoming more and more stricter to export waste, there are more regulations that will not allow waste to go out of Europe. But when you talk about the global scenario, a lot of countries still are exporting waste. Now, exporting waste per se is not an issue, because if good quality waste is getting exported and getting recycled at a third country, it's not an issue. It's a good thing. The challenge was when it was getting dumped. And that's where the Basel Convention amendments came in. Now, because of the Basel Convention amendments, I'm sure a lot of dumping might have reduced, but a lot of good quality material which could have been recycled in one part of the world is not getting recycled. So that also becomes a big challenge, where there is all the stakeholders of a particular supply chain are not on the same page when the laws or regulations are made. So these kind of challenges are something which, again, coming to the global partnerships, we also raise our voices for policy recommendation on how we can actually create a much more compliant industry. Europe is amazing for compliances, but same compliances are not replicated in other parts of the world. How we can have much more standardized compliances where the trade of material actually increases the recycling rate rather than just shifting the problem from one country to another. So I think these challenges are there. We are also working there, but I would say these are more opportunities as well for the future.
Thank you so much. And one more question to finish off. What are Gemini's plans going forward?
Yeah, I think I shared a bit about our plan. We are planning to have more plants in developing countries. In India, we will increase our footprint, having more recycling plants. We will go for around 400 collection centers, touching at least having a network of 10,000 reclaimers. But that's not it. We are going to replicate this model in other developing countries, maybe initially to the Indian subcontinent, the nearby countries, or and replicating in a couple of countries in the Latin American region and African region as well. Challenges are similar, maybe not 100% same in these regions, but on a broader basis, challenges collection and sorting and waste management infrastructure. That's where we are also working with some European funds, European companies as well, American companies as well, and American funds as well, where they are initially putting some part of their investments along with us to ensure the sustainability of these initiatives. After 3 or 5 years, these initiatives become self-sustainable. So a collector becomes a big aggregator. He has volume. He can create. He has created a history of bank balances and taxes, which gives them more loans for bigger businesses in future. So it's more about how to replicate what we have been doing for the last 35 years on a global scale, multiplying the effect by the financing mechanism. So I hope it happens and we can actually go from 2 million to 20 million tons in future.
Fantastic! Thanks again to Vikas for joining us today, and to everyone at home for listening. Let's finish with a reminder that tickets are still on sale to attend the Sustainable Packaging Summit on the 12th and 13th of November in Amsterdam. And again, you can use our code PEPOD10 for a 10% discount. For more information, go to www.packagingsummit.earth. That's all for today. Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you'll join us again next week. Take care.